The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, Lord.
When the Pharisees heard that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together, and one of them, a scholar of the law, tested him by asking, "Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest?" He said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and the first commandment. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. The whole law and the prophets depend on these two commandments." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
I love you. This is a comment many, if not all of us, use on any given day. It is also a phrase that we enjoy hearing. My grandmother, when finishing a conversation on the phone or a visit, would always say to me that she loved me. One day she said, "You must get so sick of me telling you, so we will just say, you from now on." To this day, we still say you, but we know the love is there. How could we ever get sick of someone telling us they love us? Love is such an essential part of human life, and certainly in the Catholic and Christian life. In today's gospel, Jesus accepts the challenge of the Pharisees when they ask him, "What is the greatest commandment?" He responds, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and the first commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself." The greatest commandment of Jesus is to love. Love is an essential piece of human life because it is its foundation. We are created out of love. We are saved from our sins out of love. We are given the strength and grace to carry out each day out of love. It is human nature to love. Our society and world today has manipulated the true meaning of love. We see love as simply a feeling or an emotion. We can fall in and out of love with whomever or whatever we want. The dictionary defines love as a profoundly tender, passionate affection for another person, a feeling of warm personal attachment or deep affection, as for a parent, child, or friend. It even still has this definition: the benevolent affection of God for his creatures, or the reverent affection due from them to God. Love is not only a feeling, it's also an action or a movement toward another. We hear in the Gospel of John that God so loved the world that he sent his Son. It was a movement by God for his creatures. God so loves us that he gives us his Son. When we look to the crucifix, we see how much God truly loves us and desires us to love him in return. In baptism, we are plunged into the death of Christ. We are plunged into the love of God, and we arise as a new creation. That love is placed within our hearts and can never be removed. We, however, have to choose whether we will use a love that goes beyond emotion or feeling and make that movement an action in our lives. We are commanded to love God and to love neighbor. The greatest part about the commandment is that we are not called to like every one of our neighbors, but the hardest part is that we are called to love them. St. Mother Teresa said that many people mistake our work for our vocation. Our vocation is the love of Jesus Christ. All of us, created in the image and likeness of God, are called to the same vocation, and that is love. That vocation unites us as one people and allows us to communicate, dialogue, and engage all our brothers and sisters throughout the world. We simply have to trust in love. The love given us by God is truly, as St. Paul reminds us, a love that never fails. Let us never weary of telling family, friends, and everyone we meet that we love them. By loving God and loving our neighbor, we're able to see beyond the differences and speak a common language where we share in a profoundly tender affection for one another. We're able to see in the profoundly tender affection of the Sacred Heart of Christ on the cross the love that moves us to love Him more and more, and in that love, to love one another. We never get sick of someone telling us that they love us. Let's look to the cross and allow Christ to tell us every day how much He truly loves us, and to always communicate that love to all of our brothers and sisters in word and in deed.